the Western governments have their priorities in order. They can do this feasibly for as long as there's men if they continue to make decisions like sending $250 billion to Ukraine or somewhere around that number and only $700 to the residents impacted by the Hawaii fires, right? They don't care about American families. They don't care about the people in our own country, our infrastructure. This is my first time in Moscow. The infrastructure here is beautiful, clean streets. There aren't criminals everywhere. The streets aren't, sacked with drugs, fentanyl, opioids, and stuff like that. I mean, it's incredible here. America looks like a zombie wasteland that's in decay. It's crazy. America, I don't know when the last time or if you've ever been was, but it's just miserable. I moved recently from Los Angeles to Miami. Miami's relatively nice, but Los Angeles, it's one of the many cities affected by the drug crisis in our country. You have these rich families like the Sacklers and Purdue Pharma making so much money off the misery of the American working class. We have 600,000 homeless Americans, 60,000 of which are veterans who served our country, And we're supposed to believe now that our veterans who are going to fight in Ukraine, these are the bravest men ever. They're the biggest heroes that our country has ever seen. But the U.S. government's going to treat them the same exact way. They're going to be homeless within the next few years and probably on opioids or some sort of a, drug addiction. It's very sad.
I'm glad that you talked about kind of some of the problems that the U.S. is experiencing at the moment. You talked about fentanyl, you talked about homeless, the vets on the street as well. I mean, obviously, the U.S. is sending out billions of dollars to Ukraine. At the same time that you had the fires in Hawaii, there are a number of, climate disasters, but also people are struggling. It's just economically, financially, it's a difficult time. From your perspective as an American based out there, how do Americans feel about the fact that their pockets are being emptied, essentially, to a country that maybe they don't feel a necessary affinity with, and they can't really say what the goal is there, because America's never really defined it.
No. I mean, the sad reality is that I think if you went to every member of the United States Congress and you had a world map that you could draw up before them and you asked them, can you please point to the country that we sent $250 billion to on this map? I don't think that they'd be able to actually point to Ukraine on a map, which is just goes to show the insanity of what we're doing. We definitely know that the American public is not familiar with what's going on here. And you're right that the elites have not been able to identify what the goals of this mission are. And the goals are quite simple. It's to weaken Russia, depose Putin, steal their resources, and balkanize it into a bunch of smaller countries in the process, which they're failing at doing. But you're 100% correct. The American people are struggling. The average American doesn't have enough savings for like a $500, emergency fund. If their car broke down or they had a medical expense to pay for, they couldn't do it. And what I think America is most in pain by is not just the fact that we're sending all this money to Ukraine. That's crazy enough as is, but the fact that over the past few decades, we've completely outsourced all of our manufacturing jobs. Our economy is a Byzantine labyrinth of, predatory schemes of stock, speculation, interest, rent, you name it. We don't produce anything anymore. You look at what BRICS countries are doing. They're producing oil, gas, coal, lithium, uranium, lumber, gold, silver, you name it, right? Agriculture. That's why countries like Russia and China are leading the way into a new future. They're prioritizing the economy for public good and accelerating the forces of production in the same time. I think America would benefit a lot by following the economic road that the path that China has set forward. I think that's exactly what we need to do. China is doing an incredible job, as is Russia. And we need to address the crises in our own country and how people are suffering.